Hello students, so welcome to Sushila Academy of Excellence. So today I am going to make a short video on mechanics. Okay, so this is the first lesson that you will get in your class 11 course. Okay, so the chapter is actually that you will get in class 11 is motion in a straight line, motion in a plane, work and energy, Newton's laws of motion. But I am broadly discussing about the topic which is called mechanics. Okay, so this mechanics, what is mechanics? Mechanics is a branch of physics which deals with the state of a body, the state of rest or motion of a body. Okay, so here mechanics is divided into two types. One is called kinematics and the other is called dynamics. So what is kinematics? Kinematics is the study which deals with the motion of a body without considering the cause. Like what is the cause of rest or motion of a body? A body is at rest when no force acts on it, but whenever a force, an unbalanced force acts on the body, then the body starts moving. Okay, so here if we don't consider the cause, that means we don't consider for what cause the body is moving, that is force. If we don't consider the force, we just study what? The velocity, the acceleration, speed of a body. Okay, so that is called, that branch of physics is called, or that branch of mechanics is called kinematics. On the contrary, if we consider the cause, that is force, if we consider the force that is acting on the body, in which direction the force is acting, whether the force is balanced or the force is unbalanced. So whenever we consider the cause, then the branch of mechanics that we study is called dynamics. Okay, so here mechanics is divided into two types. One is called kinematics and the other is called dynamics. If we don't consider the cause, it is kinematics, and if we consider the cause, it is dynamics. Next, we will discuss about the concept of distance and displacement. So you have got this in class 9 also. So again you will get this in class 11. So what is distance? Distance is the actual length of the path that is traveled by a body. The actual length through which a body moves, that is called distance. And what is displacement? It is the shortest distance between the initial and the final position. Suppose we consider 2 points here. Okay, and a particle is moving from this point to this one. So let us consider that a particle has moved along this path from this point to this point. Clear? So this length, this actual length through which the body has traveled, that is called distance. Clear? And what is displacement? What is displacement? The shortest distance. That means if we draw a straight line between the initial and the final point, that means if we join the initial and the final point with a straight line, then this straight line represents the displacement of the particle. Clear or not? So from here we can say that distance is always greater than displacement. If the particle moves in a curvilinear motion, that means in a curved path. So whenever the particle moves in a curved path, then distance is always greater than displacement. But if the particle moves in a straight line, if the particle moves in a straight line from one point to the other, then we can say that this is the actual path as well as this is the shortest distance between the initial and the final point. So here we can say that distance and displacement are equal. So we can say that distance is greater than if the particle moves in a straight path, curved path, and is equal when the particle moves in a straight path. So distance is always greater than or equal to the magnitude of displacement. Greater than or equal to the magnitude of displacement. So why have I given here magnitude or modulus of displacement? Because always remember that distance is a scalar quantity. You have learned about scalar and vector quantity in class 9 also. So distance is a scalar quantity. That means it has only magnitude, it does not have any direction. Whereas displacement is a vector quantity. That means it can be positive, it can be negative also, okay, and it can be zero also. That we will discuss in the next page. So here always remember the distance is a scalar quantity, whereas displacement is a vector quantity. So when we put here modulus sign, that means what? We are just considering the magnitude of the displacement. So we can say the distance is always greater than or equal to the magnitude of displacement. Clear? Now we will go to the next page. In the next page, okay, in the next page, let us see what is written here. Distance is always positive. As we know, we can't walk minus 50 kilometer, we can't walk, or we can't go minus 50 kilometer. Okay, distance is always positive. It should always be a positive value, whereas displacement can be positive, it can be negative, as well as it can be zero. So let us see when displacement is positive, negative and zero. So let us consider that a particle starts from this point and move to this point. Okay, so I am considering here one dimensional motion, that means motion in a straight line, okay, which is your first topic in class 11. Not first, it is the second lesson in class 11. So a particle moves from one point to the other, okay, and we suppose, let us consider this distance is suppose 4 meter. Okay, so here when the particle moves from this point to this point, we will say that the particle has travelled a distance of 4 meter. Now when the particle comes back from this one to this point again, we will say that the particle has again travelled 4 meter. That means the total distance that is travelled by the particle is 8 meter. 4 meter from left to right, again 4 meter from right to left. Now what about displacement? Now we know that displacement is a vector quantity. Okay, so here remember, if one direction, if we take positive, the opposite direction you have to take negative, because it is a vector quantity. If one direction is positive, that means if we take left to right as positive, then right to left you have to take negative. Now see, when the particle moves from this point to this point, we will say that the displacement of the particle is plus 4 meter. Okay, now when the particle moves from this one to this point again, back to this point, then we will say that the displacement is minus 4 meter. As a whole, what will be the displacement? Plus 4 minus 4. That means the displacement is 0. The total displacement is 0. But the distance was 8 meter. But the displacement, what we got? 0. Okay, one very simple example I will give. Suppose a ball is thrown from the ground in the upward direction. It moves up and it comes down. Okay, now suppose it has moved up to a height of 5 meter. It has moved up to a height of 5 meter. So when it will reach the highest point, it will again come down and it will travel a distance of 5 meters. So what will be the distance that is travelled by the particle? It will be 5 plus 5, which is 10 meter. Now what about the displacement? So in displacement, we take the upward direction as positive. So the reverse direction you have to take negative. Now you see, when the particle moves up, the displacement is plus 5 meter. When it comes down, the displacement is minus 5 meters. So this is when the particle moves from bottom to top, the displacement is positive. When it comes from again back from top to bottom, the displacement is negative. Okay, so what will be the total displacement? It is 0. So here you get an idea of positive displacement, negative displacement, as well as 0 displacement. Positive, this one, negative from top to bottom, and 0, that means when it comes back to the same point. Clear?